Yahusha Estate Project. The video for the longer presentation will be linked in here or will be in the description. What if you had the chance to help Noah build the ark? What if you could stand beside Moses and Aaron as they led our people out of Egypt? Would you say yes? Would you act? Well, this mission is just like that. The Yahusha Estate is being built here in Ghana as a refuge, a safe place for the awakening remnant around the world. This is more than land. It's obedience, it's prophecy, it's preparation. So pray, share, and if Yahuwah leads you, give. Let's build this place together, and may Yahuwah bless us all.
Greetings, family. Welcome back to the African Exodus show. My name is Sister Tierney, here to you with a new video. Before we get started, as a reminder to you all, if you desire to stay connected with this platform outside of YouTube, best way to do that is add yourself to my Telegram app, or my Telegram channel rather. And that way you'll get notifications anytime that I upload a new video, or if there's anything I need to share. That's the best place to get those notifications. In addition, if you do feel led to support this platform, this ministry, you can do so through Cashapp, also PayPal. The PayPal link is in the description. Also, you can add yourself to my Patreon. That's where I post all of the slides and the research that I do. I post it directly to Patreon. So today we're going to be talking about something that I believe is underemphasized when we talk about end time preparation. And not just preparation as far as the system, the beast system, but also spiritual preparation. And that is preparing ourselves in our spirits, but also in our minds to undo a lot of the Western education that has been done to us, where we have become so distant from the land. We've become so distant from working with our hands, so distant from being distant from technology, that many of us don't know how to operate as humans. And I say as humans because we were created to do certain things, as we're going to go through a few scriptures to show. We were created to have a relationship with nature. Some people feel so distant from nature. Some people feel so much anxiety when they see a wild animal or when they see an insect, but we were literally created as a part of Yah's creation. But if you think about what the lies of that the enemy has told, what they have done to us, they've made us feel like we have no relationship to the world, to the earth, to creation. And instead, we are separate, like we are living inside of a very distant and isolated state to which we can only get our food from a grocery store. We can only get our fruit and vegetables from something that comes from factory farms. Our animals, we would never, ever picture slaying an animal. Instead, it has to be nicely packaged up for us to consume it. That's the work that has been done in order to make us feel distant from Yah's creation. So I want to talk about our return to the land, something that I hope many of you are meditating on, because this is something that we should all be looking forward to more than anything else. That is our return to the land of Yasharel under the rulership of the Messiah, Yahusha HaMashiach. But because many of us have been so locked into our current realities inside of Babylon, whereas instead of focusing on our return to the land, many of us are focused on getting a raise. Many of us are focused on getting a certain job. Many of us are focused on getting a position of prominence inside of the world system instead of that reality that we have something bigger to look forward to, something more real to look forward to, and that's the return of the Messiah. And an aspect of that I think that we should be affirmatively doing things to draw closer to Yah in this particular way that we're talking about is affirmatively going out of our way to actually grow our own food, to actually work with our hands, to actually become a part of Yah's creation, not just feel like we have to go through someone else in order to get these things of sustenance. Because first of all, there's so many lessons that you even learn, spiritual lessons that you learn just from attaching yourself to Yah's creation, just from opening yourself to what he did, the order that he set as far as fruit, vegetables, meat, whatever. Something truly happens to edify you, not just physically, but also spiritually, to where you can see how certain patterns are inside of nature and how certain things actually come into fruition in our own lives. So, for example, seeds, how you just plant a seed inside of a person, you see it grow. Same thing in nature. You plant a seed in nature, you see it grow. But these things you become distant from, the more you become inculcated into the Western mindset and lose touch with your role inside of Yah's creation, inside of Yah's world. I wanted us to go to the original sin that really brought us to this place that we're in today. So obviously we've been talking about the curses of Yasharel as far as the curses in Deuteronomy 28. I want us to also keep in mind that when it comes to our distance from the food, you can actually go back to Genesis 3:17, where you have the curse on Adam. It says, "Then to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. With hard labor you shall eat from it all the days of your life." You might not associate that with genetically modified foods, but if you understand the pitch that gets sold to us to basically plant and grow things that are genetically modified, many times they're saying that this is going to work easier, it's going to grow easier, it's going to not have to deal with pestilence, it's not going to have to deal with the locusts of the ground. Essentially, this food is going to be more resilient. That's one of the ways they pitch to us to have something that is against Yah's creation. And obviously, we know that if those of us who are of Yasharel, and many of which are throughout the African continent, throughout the African diaspora, you need proof of that, please watch my video, The Real Hebrews According to the Bible. I will post the link here. But we also know that there's another curse that's in operation against the children of Yasharel. That is the curse on the land, right? Deuteronomy 28:18. Cursed will be the children of your womb, the produce of your ground, the newborn of your herd, and the offspring of your flock. Meaning, amongst the children of Yasharel, there is a real curse on the land which we live on. We talked about how that even relates to people who are not from the land, people who are foreign, coming and being able to have produce on the land. Yet the people who were indigenously from this place have no ability to grow things the way that these foreigners are. So these are the things that create a distance between us, because whenever you have sinned against Yah and you're living under a curse, whether it's a curse of the law or whether it's a curse from Adam, you are now having to make a decision. Are you going to follow the ways of Yah to get back in his good graces, or are you going to go to other remedies and other methods in order to save yourself? So if you think about, again, people who will go to science, people who will go to these wizards, honestly, who are in these labs, who are creating foods that are completely against nature, who are creating things that should not exist. Are you going to go to them to help you deal with this curse? Or are you going to turn to the Creator, who still is allowing us who submit to him to be free from this curse, who allows us who receive the gift of salvation from the blood of the Passover lamb to be free from the curses? Do we turn to him in order that we can now get inside of his presence and now be able to produce things the way that he meant for it to be produced? Those are the options that all of us are presented. And if you're going to go against the grain when it comes to trying to live the ways of Yahuwah, you have to make difficult decisions, because the way that they trap us is by making things easy, whether it's growing things easier, whether it's getting your information easier. The more that you depend on convenience and easiness in order to get by, the easier it is for the enemy to manipulate you, because there's many things that he can do that will make your life seem far more easy, far more able to do so many things that you're normally not able to do. So it's important for us to understand that a part of being saved by Yahusha is that the curses of the law get lifted. Further, the curses on Adam get lifted whenever you receive the blood of the Passover lamb. That's why his blood covers the sins even of humanity, if you are willing to die to yourself and be resurrected by his Ruach. So those who are living that reality, you are living a reality where there's a big thing that you can do. That is live the way that others around you are not free to live. You can live without having your ground cursed. You can live without having your flock cursed. But a lot of that takes faith to do these things, faith to do things that many of us are completely divorced from because we just don't have the knowledge. Safe to go out and try to grow something on your own, try to actually raise a flock, try to actually raise an animal. That takes faith, But again, if you're operating through the Ruach HaKodesh, if you're operating under the promise of the new covenant, these curses have been lifted and you have a freedom and a liberty. So the thing that we have to be more bold in doing is exercising our faith. Therefore, instead of feeling discouraged because of the curses of Adam and the curses on Yasharel, we go out and affirmatively show that these curses are not attached to those who are the sons and daughters of Elohim. So I want to read this one scripture because it's such a beautiful scripture when you think about it and let it resonate. Think about the children of Yasharel who were detached from the land. Think about those who have no place inside of the land. Think about those who have been dispersed. Think about those who died having been dispersed and not ever getting to see the land again. Hebrews 11:13 through 16. All these died in faith without receiving the promises, but having seen and welcomed them from a distance, and having confessed that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For those who say such things, make it clear that they are seeking a country of their own. And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country which they left, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is a heavenly one. Therefore, Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared a city for them. Yes, even though Yasharel has been cursed, Elohim has prepared a city for us, has prepared a nation for us, prepared a land for us. If we are willing to forsake the things of Babylon, the conveniences, the ease, forsake the lifestyle of someone who cannot detach from this world system. If you're able to do those things, then all these things are promised for us. Let's read Deuteronomy 8:7 through 10. For Yahuwah your Elohim is bringing you into a good land, a land of streams of water, of fountains and springs flowing out in valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, fig trees, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat food without shortage, in which you will not lack anything, a land whose stones are iron, out of whose hills you can dig copper. When you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall bless Yahuwah your Elohim for the good land which he has given you. So as we talk about spiritual preparation for these end times, let's make affirmative steps to walk out on faith. Even though others are contending with these curses on the land, and even though others have created inventions and machinery, even though they've modified crops and done other things that go against Yah's order, instead, we're going to go out on faith, believing what Yah said is true. That is that our Passover lamb has cured us, has redeemed us, has saved us from the curses that were over our head. Therefore, we will be blessed inside of the land, and not just inside of the land around us. Even if you have a backyard, if you have a backyard patio where you can grow something, but even in the land that he is going to regather us to, we will be blessed in that land. We'll not be living under that curse. So let's go out and affirmatively show the world what it means to live not under these curses, not under the things that mankind has bound us to, but instead under a promise given to us from our ancestors that exists for us today to take advantage of. So I pray this was helpful for all of you. If you definitely need some encouragement, there's so many resources on the internet, so many resources on YouTube as far as growing your own food and just getting out and stepping on faith to do this exact thing. I encourage you all to do so. Certainly, we've been doing so. And so we encourage you all. Let's show the world what it means to live by faith in Yahusha HaMashiach. Thank you all for watching. Yah willing, I'll see you all in the next video.
Why is it that we don't learn how to grow our own food? How do we trust our oppressor to feed us? And why is it that we got to eat all these GMO seeds? And we don't know how to. We don't control the stuff that makes us live. We don't know who makes our food, our medicine. You know, we generally don't own our buildings. We're here. We're just renting life, and that's the way they want it. And we're not conscious of that. So we have to learn the fundamentals, and we can't forget that in history we were winning. And we can't let them erase that. So even down to the way we interpret the name Jesus, that's a European interpretation of the name. His name is Joshua. Why no one calls me Damien, anything but Damon wherever I go in the world? Why would we have to now say somebody's name with a European interpretation of the name and it didn't happen in Europe? That doesn't make sense other than control. How could you tell, if somebody tells me they're a fan of mine and they calling me Damien, I'm going to be like, my name's Damien. How could you really be a fan of mine? You're not calling me by my real name. So how could you get a full blessing? You're calling this man by his wrong name because we've been programmed to. You understand what I'm saying?